my floor, which was locked. Asked the floor's admin. She told me to go to the main supply room in the basement. Went to the basement and explained my situation of needing a pen. They told me all requests for supplies must be approved by my department head. Problem is, being new, I'd never met my department head. She also worked in San Francisco, I worked in Milwaukee. So I needed to send an email both introducing myself and asking her if I had permission to get a pen from the supply closet. All recreational activity is forbidden on company time and resources. Except fantasy football. That's why I got my boss into Reddit. If you want something unblocked on the network, you make sure a director level wants it unblocked. 2 weeks after I left my previous job, a memo went round saying people aren't allowed to look out of the windows at work anymore. It's a big as glass building. Edit, to answer those that have been asking. It's not American Express. Eyes shifting. No accusing other staff members of being witches. Yeah. It happened, so we had to make a rule. I run a hostel in Uganda. I used to work for a large bank. We had an attendance policy that was so complicated it actually created an incentive for employees to take an entire day off rather than be tardy too often. My high school had that too. If you were late enough to miss first period, you got a cut, which was a detention. Even being late to first period 3 times counted as a cut, which was another detention. An absence was just an absence. No cuts. No detentions. We can't ask others if they want to come grab a coffee in the break room. Just develop a subtle nod that means the same thing. We have a lock on the first aid kits. So if you just need a band-aid for a cut, you have to get the key from the safety guy. Which in turn makes it a reportable accident with mountains of paperwork and investigations. We use an unbelievable amount of duct tape now. Duck that. I'd be keeping a box of band-aids in a rarely used drawer or hidden away somewhere. A rule that said if you have time to lean, you have time to clean, which fairly obviously meant if there was no work then you should be cleaning things. It was at an aircraft servicing station that was fairly small. But we needed a crew of at least 3 people for larger planes. The problem was that sometimes there were just no planes. So there was no work. We would clean for a couple hours and then just run out of stuff to clean. But according to management, that was no good. We had to be busy. It got to be that we would fight over work when it came in because everyone was so bored. And finding pretend busy work was much harder than just working. I remember getting the crew together to pick up pebbles off the taxiway for a couple hours. There's an old joke in aviation, go sweep the taxiway. So we actually did it. When I was in the military, I saw a buddy of mine sitting outside crying. I went and consoled him best as I could. Apparently he was just depressed and unhappy. After he was feeling a bit better, I went to go and find someone to tell them what was happening. They knew. In fact, he had been crying so much lately that they had instituted a no crying at your desk policy, which is why he was outside. Empty inbox. My boss was an inbox Nazi. Like if you had old emails in there, he would flip and make you respond to them or delete them. Apparently you shouldn't have anything left at the end of the day. Deal with them or delete them. Joke's on him though. I just made a subfolder marked personal and everything went in there. Get ducked, Bill, you old wanker. I used to work for the now long defunct books, movies, and music store Media Play. Just one of the 285 reasons that poorly run business ran into the ground was the tardy attendance policy. If you were literally 0.01 seconds late clocking in, even hours before the store opened, it was a really big deal. You'd not only be formally written up, but lectured like a child, oftentimes berated even. If you were tardy 3 times, bye bye. However, if you no-showed and then called 2 hours later saying you were sick, okay. Thank you. Feel better. This trained everyone to just take a sick day instead of being half a second late to work. I can't tell you how many times you'd see a coworker screeching into the parking lot before work after fighting traffic from a wreck or whatever, noticing it was 8:01. and then slowly driving off to go home and feign being sick. This was particularly upsetting when it was a pull down stock week when we needed every hand on deck but had unusually early shifts. There was an issue where there was too much socializing going on the factory floor. Particularly when people were working while sitting down. False, skewed supervisor perception. So they made everybody stand. When that presented ergonomics problems. They brought in these weird chairs that made you sit at a slant. Had no backs. And no wheels. So they wouldn't cause distractions. No part of it made any sense. My workplace doesn't let you use the word problems. Instead, we have to say challenges if something is wrong. As a problem is a negative word. And challenges promotes the fact that there is room to fix said problem. Fireman. Our risk management department decided long ago that poles were too risky for us. So we use the stairs. We have poles. Anyway. Now the newest rule is no free weights, as in no free weights to work out. Stay fit. Go into burning high rise absolutely. Walk around the station carrying 40 pounds dumbbells. Too risky. If you are 1 minute late it is a tardy. If you take a half day nothing goes on your record. I was told to just take a half day if you are going to be late because they straight up fire you for tardies. Also if you clock out early it is a tardy. If you have to go to the doctor on lunch break and it is going to take an hour and 10 min. Take the rest of the day off. Weird. I used to work at a place in which my boss implemented a no more than 2 glasses a day water policy. What a hunt. I ignored this rule and complained directly to our CEO and the matter ended later that day. What was weird though was the majority of people actually followed the rule and some even shocked me up to HR about breaking the rules. I left not long after that because not only was my boss a bellend, but if my colleagues were going to HR over me drinking water, then I obviously couldn't trust them. Old job of mine in a warehouse. Our stations were pretty far apart. So when we'd listen to music we'd all usually have our own stuff playing. Not a problem since you could barely hear the neighbor's music. Well, the CEO didn't like hearing multiple songs when walking through the warehouse. He made a rule that we all either had to listen to the same music, or none at all. Business casual dress code even when I work at home. They Skype me to check. WTF. Why? What business are you in? Exactly my thoughts on it. I'm an intern for a small logistics company. I worked as a call receiver. We never saw a customer. We were only on the phones with them. Rule: your hair must only be a natural color. I dyed my hair the same exact color that someone from a different shift had. I was reprimanded. I told them that if the rule is not enforced for everyone, they couldn't single me out. Their reasoning for letting the other person have that color but not me, mine was my real hair. Dyed an unnatural color, hers was a weave that could be changed very easily. Really? Then why hasn't she been asked to change her hair? Because that sheet is expensive. They gave up trying to convince me they were in the right. If we want to take a full 5-day week off we need to use 2 vacation days. 1 personal. And 2 more vacation days. Can never use 3 vacation days straight ? We work alternating days. 3 on 4 off. 4 on 3 off. If you take vacation on your short week, which is 3 working days, they dock you 5 vacation days for taking an entire week off. Old workplace had assigned desk location for various things like phone and stapler. You were also only allowed 2 personal items on your desk. I was written up BC. I brought my own red stapler and it didn't fit in between the lines put on the desk. You should have burned that place down. At my old job, HR held a meeting to tell us that there was too much swearing on the sales floor. Someone raised their hand and pointed out that swearing is very common in our industry and that is the way that our customers speak. HR later sent out a memo explaining that swearing should be limited to conversations with clients. It was amazing. If you are stuck in traffic on the way to work, you must email the CEO. Phone calls and texts are not permitted. Only email. I'd get that one in writing and send it to the corporate insurer. Had a workplace time our bathroom breaks and deduct them from our allotted 15-minute breaks or lunch. We had to go see the office manager to get a key to open the restroom. As soon as we left his office he would start a timer. When you got back he would stop the timer and tell you how much time you needed to deduct from your lunch or next break. They watched our breaks like a hawk. Also, if you made a mistake they would stand over you and time you while you fixed it and deduct that from your lunch or breaks. You couldn't bring anything that smells for lunch and they had no way of heating anything up. I worked out my contract and split. Men can't wear shorts. However women can wear dresses and skirts. What the duck do they think? We are all walking around with monster dongs that would hang out of the bottom of our shorts. It's hot and I want to wear shorts. We can't personalize our workspace. There are no nameplates on anyone's workstation either. No pictures. No mementos. Nothing but work stuff. It is bad enough we are jammed into an open floor plan and have to spend many hours at our desks. But then to deny us the ability to make it more enjoyable? Petty. The VP of our company just held a mass meeting to tell all of us we can't have pictures or plants or food or any form of non-office supplied object on our desk. Tons of co-workers have family pictures or their kids' finger paintings pinned up on the cubicle walls. All that has to be removed. People were pissed. Former job. You couldn't eat at your desk. The team managers however were pretty tolerant. On a hot day they would sometimes even hand out popsicles. The regulation people, who were especially in charge on the weekends, when no team managers were around, were very strict with this. A colleague of mine was shouted at because she ate a small pretzel, which was her breakfast. Then again, some colleagues would casually eat a whole pizza or kebab while making a huge mess. Previous job, given a tablet and a locker. Had to look for a desk to sit on every morning. Stupid. Caused unnecessary friction. Waste of time. Inefficient. And many occupied the same desk every day anyway. They piled junks on their desk so no one else dared to sit. Once my manager had mental breakdown. He hid another floor away from us. It was ridiculous having to walk that far to get to him multiple times a day. Former job at a law office. One of the partners sent an email to the entire staff that employees were not allowed to gossip in the building. What was everyone gossiping about? You ask? Oh. Said partner was divorcing his wife and sleeping with one of the associate attorneys in the firm. But, you know, don't gossip. I'm a teacher. So I have million stupid rules I have to follow. But the worst one is that my performance evaluation is based on student improvement on the STEM literacy test. I teach wood shop. I work for the federal government so there are tons and tons of rules. Most of them are there for good reasons. The one I really hate, though, is that we have to pay to join the water cooler club to use the water cooler. It's like $30 every month or two. Like, I get it. Taxpayers shouldn't be on the hook for extravagant purchases and there are certain perks you get in the private sector that you don't get in the public sector, and vice versa. I just don't think it's the height of decadence to want decent water. They say we can just use the fountains. But the fountains are disgusting. This isn't the local post office either. This is a major department's main building in DC. If someone is issued a refund because the decorator messed up, it comes out of my commission because I made the sale even though I had nothing to do with the screw up. We aren't allowed to wear jackets unless they are purchased from the resort gift shop with the hotel name logo on it. They are $50 plus and we don't get reimbursed. But it's the price you pay to stay warm in the cold months. Dress code policy is just dumb at my work. Different positions have different requirements. Even though we all work in the same office. My favorite rule though is the one on shorts. We can wear shorts on Fridays between Memorial Day and Labor Day. However, the shorts can't have pockets on the side. It was written to discourage ratty cargo shorts. But the way in which it is written allows me to wear gym shorts. So I do.